What's up, guys? We're back to another Double Trouble. So I had an idea going forward with these episodes. I was thinking of pitting two stories against one another, one from Nuclear Revenge and one from Supernova Revenge, and you guys will decide which of the two stories you like more. I am hoping I can figure out how to get a poll on the videos, but we'll see about that. This sounded like a fun change of pace from the usual 3-story format, and hopefully you all will agree with me. Alright guys, enough talk, let's get into the stories. See you in a bit. And starting off the stories, we're going to be reading from r/Nuclear Revenge. Insult me? Harass me? Fine. Hurt my family? Shouldn't have done that. I'm a 39-year-old Caucasian male, and this occurred when I just graduated from college. So when I was about 22. At the time, I was about 6'2" and a decent build. I always was one of the popular kids at school, and was never having problems with any sort of bullying. It all started after I graduated, very suddenly. First, it was all my college friends disconnecting with me. First ignoring me a little here and there, to full out avoiding me. Then came the harassment. I'd started a job at a local convenience store, which wasn't very busy, so it was a perfect place to come and harass me. When I say they, I'm referring to a group of guys, all about 1 to 2 years younger than me, and still in college. They were way more muscular than I was, and some even cleared 6'4", so you can imagine them being pretty intimidating to me. At the start, they came in and did minor things that, at the most, just inconvenienced me, such as taking something, bringing it to the counter, then telling me they'd changed their minds and didn't want to buy it, then coming back with something else and doing the exact same thing over and over again until my manager came and kicked them out of the store. Then it became more serious. They started waiting for me outside in the parking lot after my shift ended and started getting physical with me. I tried my best to ignore them, but it was incredibly annoying. It wasn't extreme, just like a punch on the shoulder, a flick on my ear, the usual bully stuff. This continued for weeks, and I was afraid to take any action, as I was afraid that it would just get worse. I was very non-confrontational at the time. Eventually, they decided they'd gotten bored of messing with me, and decided to take it to a new level by physically harming me. They'd shove me to the ground and kick me, smash me against my car, and mess with my stuff. Once, they nearly even broke my effing arm. I was done with these guys, but still too fearful of them to take action, so I let it continue. Big mistake. Apparently, I wasn't enough for them, so they started targeting my family. I don't know how, but they got my brother and mother's phone number and started calling and harassing them, using one of those apps which allows you to have a random, anonymous phone number and be an all-around dicks. This infuriated me a lot, but I kept my cool, thinking they would just get bored of me and move on. They didn't. My brother, who was at the same college I graduated from, was about 4 years younger than me, so about 18 at the time. He was exactly like me, non-confrontational and shy, which made these idiots think they could have a piss at him to get at me. One day, my mother got a phone call telling her that my brother was in the ER as he had a broken collarbone, broken arm, and a fractured hip. They told her that he'd told them that he'd slipped and fell down the stairs. I knew from the start that was bullcrap. He wasn't allowed to walk for a full month, as the doctor said it could cause the fracture to extend and worsen the situation. So here my brother was, stuck in a wheelchair for about a month because he slipped and fell down the stairs. I went and confronted him about this, and after, I applied some pressure. He broke. He started crying uncontrollably and told me it was the same dudes who had been harassing me for the past month. Furthermore, my mother went into mild depression because of the whole ordeal. Everyone has their limits, and they had just crossed mine. This is the point where hell unleashes. I, through some friends, got the number of one of the dude's girlfriend, who was, by the way, completely oblivious to the fact that her boyfriend was a sadistic bully, and after explaining the situation to her, got her in on my plan. I got her to give me his address, as this was crucial to my revenge. My family members were devastated at the news of my brother, and after explaining the whole ordeal to my 2 older cousins, who were both Taekwondo black belts, they were also in on my plan. I was going to annihilate him, physically and emotionally. 2 days before the college finals week, I went to his house and rang the doorbell. He saw me and instantly started grinning. I told him that I wanted to fight, and he started laughing his ass off. He told me I should go home and try not to embarrass myself, but I was persistent. He followed me outside, and we went to a nearby abandoned school, which was about a minute away from his house. The whole time he was taunting me about how I was going to suffer and how great he was. We reached at the field, and my 2 cousins came out in their Taekwondo gear, looking intimidating as hell. His attitude and facial expression completely changed. He started complaining about how it wasn't fair, and that it was 3 against 1. I told him the fact that he had assaulted my brother and caused him to not be able to walk was not fair, and told him that he was going to regret that decision. Before he could respond, one of my cousins came running up from behind him and did some sort of move, kicking him brutally in the head. He fell to the ground and his head started bleeding. I could hear him whimpering on the ground, but I was merciless. I signaled to my other cousin to have at him, and he did. It was beautiful. Every kick to the stomach, every punch to the head, his bleeding body laying in the ground, watching him suffer after what he put me and my family through. Eventually, we stopped attacking him after realizing he was unconscious and started to get a little worried. I called his girlfriend, and she called, and she came and put him in the car with the help of my cousins and took him to the hospital. I don't know all the details of his injuries, but he was hospitalized for a month and a half. He ended up missing finals week, having his girlfriend break up with him, and having his entire family condemn his actions after I informed them of what he had done. He was also left with a permanently disfigured face. He had to have plastic surgery for all his facial injuries, and the surgeon botched the job, and now his face is permanently disfigured. I didn't get away with it completely though. His family pressed charges, and I was arrested for assault and was jailed for 6 months with some pretty hefty fines, but it was worth it. The other bullies stayed away from me and my brother ever since then, and we've gotten on with our lives. I feel like the satisfaction of vengeance was worth the 6 months in jail. I also later learned he had suicidal tendencies and tried ending his life on multiple occasions. TLDR, guy harasses me and my family, then breaks my brother's arm and hip bone, causing him to be stuck in a wheelchair for a month. Me and my 2 cousins, who are black belts in Taekwondo, beat one of them up so bad that he's permanently disfigured. Then, having his girlfriend break up with him and his family condemn his actions, I get arrested for 6 months with some hefty fines. Alright, now let's move over to the second story from r/Supernova Revenge. Bully me for 4 years? Have fun being in a wheelchair for the rest of your life. Okay, so this story happened a good 9 to 10 years ago, when I was about 11. I had this horrible bully that frequently made sure that I would come home depressed or even crying. The bully was younger than me, but even worse was that he was way taller than me. He was like 170, I was like 150. I was quite small for my age, due to my parents who were also quite short. He was tall because he had something that would make his bones grow faster. This will become very important later on in the story. The bully, who I'll call TF for tall effer, had bullied me in various ways. He would frequently say things about my height and call me a disabled idiot that didn't matter. He would also say very anti-Semitic things to me. I'm Jewish, to the point that he even threw a brick through one of my windows with a letter on it saying things like, "Screw the Jews." And he even drew a few swastikas on there for good measure, I guess. This bullying had continued through the rest of the 4 years I was in that school, which made me extremely depressed, that at some points I had considered suicide. I was very dumb, and I was very young, but one day, around the final week of school, he had done the worst thing ever to me. TF pushed me down a small flight of stairs, and when I was at the bottom, he jumped on me. This hurt like hell, and I started crying. He then took the opportunity to kick me while I was down. Luckily, one of my friends found me on the ground and brought me to a teacher. At the time, it was hard to breathe, so my friend picked me up. The teacher, who I'll call BT for the bitchy teacher, you'll see why later, was shocked and then told my friend to get another teacher, specifically the one who used to be a nurse. At the end of the day, I was fine, and I was told that I had to stay after school in order to talk about what happened. I finished the rest of the day, and then I came back to BT. TF was also there. I thought I finally had the chance to expose TF. When I sat down, I immediately started telling BT what this guy had done to me. But as soon as I told her, she called me the worst things she could have at that point of time. A liar. This broke me, and I realized she wasn't there to help me at all. So I became silent. In the end, she told us we were both equally responsible for what happened, and we both had to stay every day to clean up the school. This infuriated me. As soon as we walked out of that class, TF begun making fun of me again, saying things like, "If you weren't so useless, this wouldn't have happened." And, "Jews are cowards, so I thought you would tell the teacher." This was the final straw. Luckily for me, we were on the second floor of the building, which had 2 entry points, one with a collection of small stairs, and one with a long stairway. Luckily for me, he decided to go to the long stairway. Revenge planned. When we eventually came to the stairway, I waited until he was already 2 steps down. This way, I could easily kick him in the back. I stood ready and decided, for this revenge, I had to Sparta kick him off those stairs. When I did, it felt incredible at first. But then, I looked down all those stairs and saw that TF looked like he was in extreme pain. I laughed and decided I'll exit from the other stairway, so I would look less suspicious. Luckily for me, I saw the janitor on the way out, who later told BT that I couldn't have kicked TF from the stairway because he saw me leave from the other stairway. Fast forward a few years, and I get to hear that TF is in therapy, and that he broke both his legs and his nervous system in his legs are permanently damaged, mysteriously one day while he was at school. Best part is that BT was with him last. She was responsible and fired and had her teaching license removed. Nowadays, TF is in a wheelchair and quits his school life. Apparently, he's still trying to recover by doing a lot of therapy, but I know his family well enough that they can't pay that forever. I do not regret a single thing. Edit. Totally forgot to mention why his bones growing was important to the story. Basically, because his bones were so long, it caused the bones in his leg to tear through his muscles, skin, and nervous system when I pushed him and broke both his legs. There you go. You got both your stories. Now decide which one you like more and leave it in the poll. And like I said, hopefully there is a poll somewhere. Alright guys, that's gonna wrap it up for our stories of the day. And just in case you didn't get enough of that sweet, sweet revenge, we're gonna sprinkle in a little bit of justice with our bonus, r/justice served. Let's get in it. Police raid home to rescue feverish 2-year-old boy. Police drew guns and broke down a door to seize a sick boy after his parents refused to take him to the ER. Police said Sarah Beck's 2-year-old had a fever, and that Beck kept him at home over worries about repercussions for not vaccinating him. A doctor called the Department of Child Safety, which alerted the police, who found 3 apparently sick kids inside. They were moved to foster homes, and their parents are facing charges of child abuse. How could you think that letting your child die is the best solution than just facing some repercussions? I personally don't know if the repercussions would have been legal at that point or not. I just don't know enough about it, but either way, it doesn't matter. She is a sick human being. This Soweto father tracked down the man who raped his 3-year-old daughter, tied him to a tree, cut off the rapist's penis, cooked it, and forced him to eat it. This dad went full Ramsay Bolton on this guy. Oh my god. Straight Game of Thrones to the end. Also, if you haven't seen that in Game of Thrones, don't worry, it never happens. It's not a spoiler. Ignore that, move on. This person parked in the middle of a bus circle during pickup, so the buses just sort of parked around them. They couldn't open their doors until all the buses left. I can only imagine their whiny excuse of, "Oh, but the other line was so long." Shut up, people. Wait in the other line like you're supposed to. You screw over all the other buses and all the other kids going home. Susan's husband hired a hitman to kill her. She overpowered the hitman. "Tell me who sent you, and I will call an effing ambulance," she yelled. He didn't reply, and Susan strangled him to death. Yeah, a couple videos ago I said Susan sucked. Yeah, I didn't say that. Don't worry about it. Susan's a great. Please don't hurt me. Alright guys, that's gonna wrap it up for today. Hope you enjoyed the episode, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.